Hi, this is Bob Weiss. I'm the host of Shakin' Your World. Cheers. Welcome once again to another episode of Shakin' Your World at Shakers. This is one of the After Dark series, and today we are talking about cigars and spirits, but not the ghostly type. We're talking about alcohol this time. A couple of very good friends of the house. We've got Joel and Aaron with us tonight.
Hello, thank you.
What really cements this to me is not just the fact these guys really are into cigars and into fine rums and whiskeys, but they too have been into Cuba, which really sets everything to a much different level. Gentlemen, cheers first, and
cheers.
Healthy toast. Welcome.
Thank you, Bob.
We're drinking a little Cuban rum. This is a Havana Club.
Delicious.
It is
delicious.
Soft
Very delicious.
And
Is this the 7-year, or what is this? Is the
No,
Añejo?
this is the Añejo.
This is, yes, delicious.
Huh? Cool. So who wants to start talking about whatever you want to start talking about? When did you begin smoking cigars? How's that?
Well, for me, it was probably about 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah, a dozen, probably somewhere in there. It's a dozen years.
I was a senior in high school, and for jazz band, we would smoke cigars afterwards. And there was a company in Milwaukee called Gargoyle that made these hand-wrapped green cigars. And they quit like in 1991, right before the cigar explosion took off.
Oh.
Just two brothers wrapped up shop. Milwaukee was well known for wrapping tobacco at one point, and that's how I began. And then throughout college, I smoked a pipe like Slawinski for a while, and I just went back to cigars.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I guess I'd say probably a dozen to 15 years. And I was thinking about that actually on the way over here. I don't know what really started it. Probably just other friends that were dabbling with cigars and so forth, and just develop a palate and go from there, and you try new things, and next thing you know, you have a lot of money sunk into it. You have a huge humidor and traveling around to go see tobacco fields. So.
Well, you actually inspired us to go to Cuba, because you had been there several times when I asked you about it, and you said it really wasn't as difficult as everybody thought it would be to get there. So Joel and I kind of kicked around the idea. My wife wanted to go. There was a sporting event that we wanted to go see. I talked to you about it, and it really wasn't that much of a pain in the butt at all to get down there. I mean, what was it, a total of 4.5 hours of flights, and we were there? And,
Something like that, yeah, a little layover.
Oh, and it was just an amazing experience.
And a whole different world, wasn't it?
Completely different world.
Yeah.
No advertising, I mean, it's really like you took a step back in time.
I guess I'll ask this question because I think all of us have done some extensive traveling. I think it's always the fear of the unknown that inhibits you from really going somewhere. Maybe you don't feel like either the language barrier or something like that or whatever. But I was pleasantly surprised. Actually, my expectations were exceeded in Cuba.
Mine too,
I didn't really know what to expect. Maybe my expectations were low. I don't know, but. It was an incredible trip. I'd like to go back.
Cool. Well, we should do that. But right now we're drinking this rum. You guys drink a decent amount of whiskey when you're here, primarily bourbons now.
Yep.
So how did that juxtapose, or how did that begin, or what's going on with that?
Well, I'll say this. You have increased my palate for rum. I never was much of a rum guy prior, but however, I didn't have many good rums either, I suppose. So I'll give you credit there. I did not have a lot of dealings with rum that was good rum that weren't just a rum and coke or something like that when you were growing up. So I would credit you with some of
this blows it out of the water. I mean, because you mentioned Havana Club when we went down there to Cuba. I mean, that's what we did every night. Let's try a new bottle of Havana Club.
Yeah,
and relatively, at least when you're in Cuba, inexpensive. It goes from $7 to probably the high-end stuff is maybe $40. I mean, but delicious. Delicious.
Cool. So please.
Well, do you? You obviously have more experience than we do. Do you see similarities for yourself with your own tastings between rum and bourbon? Do you find my common ground there? I guess
my thing is as a chef and as a longtime professional lush, I suppose. I look for different nuances than probably just most people do. But there are real common chords that take place between a really good rum and a really good bourbon. So it's part of the aging characteristic from the barrel. It's also the way that the right person is making or distilling that product, but it's just got more depth to it, I think, than a lot of cocktails or a lot of spirit options do. And it just, especially with cigars, man, it just has the right layers and it just works so well together. It's as if they're really designed for each other in so many ways.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree with that, yeah.
We figured that out each night. We'd go retreat to our third-story deck, and we'd have our new bottle of Havana Club, and we'd grab a Cuban cigar from that day. Oh, I tell you, it was 70 degrees. There was no bugs. There was nothing. It was just...
And always beautiful, like the rooftop is, you had like the Capitol Dome in the distance and, beautiful sunsets and stuff. It was...
Yeah, and you're right, though. The cigars coupled with that rum, just amazing.
What about the food down there?
They don't like to use a lot of spices. We found some good food, but you know what? I think spices are rare down there. So, and that's a luxury to them. So, a lot of pork. I mean, anyway, you could rarely find beef.
Seafood.
Seafood you could find here and there, but the food was good. I don't think it's as good as here. You have so many options here. But I thought the food, Joel, what did you think? I thought the food was good.
The food, I think, again, I think like the seafood and so forth was sort of the highlight for me. Obviously, vegetables are probably a little harder to come by down there. I didn't think like the vegetable side was probably as good as some of the main course necessarily, but I wasn't disappointed. It wasn't like it was a buzzkill for me that the food wasn't
And incredibly inexpensive.
Very inexpensive.
Yeah. We found, actually, I remember commenting about this. It was very interesting to see the difference between like the private restaurants and the government-run restaurants that had no one in them. And I don't know that we ever went to any.
We had coffee at that one, and I think that was about it.
So I'm kind of curious what the food is like in those, but every one that we went to, the food was, again, reasonably priced, and I had plenty to eat. It wasn't like it was, you were shortchanged and all.
You get a lot of starch, that's for sure, at the government joints. So beans and rice are everywhere. So
right.
These are mojitos, and I guess we'll call this a national drink of Cuba, made by Brianna. Thank you, Brianna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm sure a lovely job as usual. So again, this is a drinking show, so let's drink.
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
Let's drink.
Yeah,
Cheers.
It's almost like Havana weather out there right now.
Almost.
That's delicious.
Yeah, very good.
So what are you guys smoking tonight?
Well, my next one is going to be the Hoya de Monterey Epicure number 2.
Love those.
Straight from the motherland.
I think Aaron and I are on the same wavelength there, since I also have an Epicure number 2. But I have a couple other Cuban selections that are here also. I have a Cohiba, and I forget what the other one was. A Cuay de Orsay is also. So
Cool.
Bob, what are you smoking?
I've got a little simple Monte Cristo number 2, kind of my standard lately.
Excellent. They're excellent.
But I've got dozens of other things downstairs we could play with too. What I like about cigars is that there's so many different qualities that go on, but they're give you the opportunity to kick back a little bit, enjoy a day, just enjoy what you're doing in your environment, take some of the rush off. I think that's important. But Cuban cigars, to me at least, are so much more because the layers of flavor, the balance, just keep going and going. And there's occasionally a Cohiba in particular that's kind of tightly wrapped or something, but other than that, I think they're sublime.
Yeah, they've got it down. I mean, they've been making them longer than anybody else. They've just...
I agree. I think that, like with everything, variety is good. I think I would take it one step further. I think that they are a good complement to other cigars from other regions, and that you really start to see the differences that obviously the region imparts to flavor in the tobacco leaf. So I agree with you. They are a unique flavor in their own.
Well, we have a mutual friend who smokes only Opus X, and and to my thought, to a fault, because he's missing so much of other things.
He's missing a lot.
But again, that's the beautiful thing about cigars is that you can strike up a conversation with anybody and find some commonality. And I think more so than being on a golf course or something like that, because I've been at those gigs as well, I think there are more deals that are done in cigar bars. You sit down, enjoy a cigar, just sit around in Cuba or somewhere else having a coffee.
Yeah.
On the corner, smoking a cigar. You're going to make a conversation with someone, male or female, and it's a whole different level than if you're just gassing somewhere else.
What was the cigar we had the morning we left Havana in the restaurant?
Coffee shop?
Yeah, so it was a deal. You bought a coffee, you got a cigar.
It was a
deal, and it was a machine-made cigar. But
I forget what it was, but yes, it was $5, and I think you got a fresh Cuban, cup of Cuban coffee, and a cigar with it for $5.
And it was sort of it was actually a roaster. There was a coffee.
They roasted
the coffee there.
Yeah.
But similar kind of wood floors and sort of similar layout to Shakers in a way. And it was just where else you couldn't do that here,
Yeah.
I mean,
and a Cuban coffee. My God, it was
delicious.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
Definitely a difference.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Roasted and made for you right there. Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
You two love for Cuban cigars. What do you think the embargo and the relative unavailability of them plays toward your liking of them? Do you think that's a factor at all, or no?
I think that my liking them is probably independent of that. I do think that just because I look for different things in the palate of everything I touch, whether it's a beer or anything else. And so I look for more in a cigar, and I think that will continue to go forward. I think that a lot of people that are attracted to Cuban cigars, like anything else is contraband, want it because it's contraband.
Yeah.
You can't get it or something like that. But I think that, as I've just known you guys for the 8 or 10 years, whatever it's been, as you drink more, you eat more, you experience more things, you really solidify your taste palate for getting more into Cuban cigars as well. So I think there's a natural evolution there. The more you expose to stuff, the more these things really taste good.
Yeah. I agree. And the question comes up all the time, are Cuban cigars really that much better? People say that all the time.
Right.
And I don't know exactly how to answer that. They're different. They've got, what I tell them every time I can answer is, they've got it down. They know what they're doing. I've never had a bad Cuban cigar. Not one. Some I've liked more than others, but never a bad one. Like you said, maybe 1 out of 100 will draw tight or something like that. But they've got,
Well, I would say because of the quality that has improved so much in Cuba. They had a really down time when they separated from Russia, couldn't get fertilizer, times were tough. They had like 5 or 6 really bleak years there. But after that point, I think they've really picked up their game tremendously, which influenced people like A.J. Fernandez, who makes exquisite cigars in Nicaragua, right?
Yes.
And there's some similar kind of climatic conditions taking place. Volcanic soil, rather, is very similar. But the Cubans still, I think, have the edge up. It's just that A.J. is making just great products now.
Yeah.
I wonder, to kind of expand on that, I know Aaron and I have talked about this, like, should it be full open market for Cuban cigars in America? I wonder how that would impact production and quality, and if they try to sort of bump up production and then that suffers because of it.
Well, my econ courses were a while ago, but I would suggest that once it is legal, at some point it will be, that prices are going to go up.
Yeah.
People ask us, taxation, of course, right?
Right. People ask us too. Since we were just in Cuba in November, can you get a deal on Cuban cigars down there? Can you get a deal? There's no deal to be had down there. Nope. There's no deal at all. They know what they've got. It's government control.
Government sets the price.
And we went into maybe 7 or 8 different stores while we were down there. The price was exactly the same at every store we went to. So, and there's no bargaining with them. Nope. If they allow you to bargain, you're not getting a real Cuban cigar. The price is the price.
Those guys that come back from Jamaica or Mexico all the time, $5 a stick, they're fantastic. Look at this price. Well, they're not Cuban. Whatever they might be, they're certainly not.
Of course, the beautiful thing is that if there's a shop that you don't particularly care for in Old Havana, you walk about 2 more blocks, you're going to find another Casa del Habano that's going to sell you cigars.
Yep.
So
Right.
There's no shortage.
Yeah. You told us to go to the place La Floridita. Mm-hmm. When we first got down there, I think that was the first one we went to.
Yeah.
And we walked in that humidor.
Yeah.
And they don't even really have to have a humidor because the climate is always like this, 80 degrees and humid. But we walked in and it was, 5,000 boxes of Cuban cigars. And Joel and I literally looked at each other and went, oh my God.
And that actually wasn't, remember that actually wasn't I don't want to say real, that's not the right, it wasn't like an actual Casa del Habano shop. It's one of these authorized private stores that we found that out later. That was actually not a
Ernest Hemingway's hangout, I think that was. Yeah, but it was gorgeous, beautiful in there. And they had Havana Club rum. that you could buy one-stop shop. You could buy them both there.
And it's only 2 blocks from our house. So.
And we did.
2 or 3 blocks.
Very cool. So cigars from other places, man. We've exhausted. Well, we could never exhaust Cuban cigars, but let's move on somewhere else. So, Dominicans, Hondurans, Nicaragua, Cameroon.
I guess I'll jump in on this one. I guess I'm now this is the second trip now I've been able to take sort of cigar related. I went to Honduras for a different manufacturer that in their tour of their factory stuff. And I think we've sort of touched on it earlier. If there's something you're really passionate about, whether it's cigars or cars or whatever, immersing yourself in the process really drives home kind of the specialness of whatever you're dealing with. And unfortunately, we were supposed to go to Nicaragua for part of that tour, and we didn't. But I'm a big fan of Nicaraguan cigars. Like you mentioned, AJ Fernandez, but there's other ones too. I think they're as good as any other one, frankly, as far as flavors. But Dominican's good. I'm a non-Cuban. One of my favorites is the Arturo Fuente Anejos. That's one of my all-time favorites. So. Certainly, I think that sort of gets back to what I was saying. Like, certainly Cuba is sort of the holy grail of cigars, but it complements all the other ones from around the world, too, that are just as good, I think.
Absolutely. So, we all get, I'm sure, our share of guff from people from time to time who don't appreciate cigars. And even those wankers who are smoking cigarettes are pissed off about the cigars because the aroma, perhaps. And yet, in my world at least, they're natural. They smell good. They taste good. They're wonderful. As opposed to the cancer sticks. Yeah.
I love the smell of a good cigar.
You really see the difference in the quality of tobacco. And so you're right. A lot of the harshness is not there. There's not
there's no chemicals.
The acrid flavor or smoke.
Ketones, aldehydes, whatever.
Right. So, and really, let's get down to it. The cost of tobacco, what you're paying for, is time. You're paying for time. It's aging process and fermentation process and so forth. That's what you pay for.
So what's your favorite bourbon?
If I had to pick one? Boy, I think I tried some George T. Stagg the other day, and Mike gave me a small vial of George T. Stagg, and that was just knock your socks off. But I'm not willing to pay $400 or $500 for a bottle of bourbon. But it was delicious.
Mine, like of the rare, hard to find. I like Elmer T. Lee. Probably not quite as elite as some of the other ones, but it's a favorite of mine. What's the one from Mike's also big into that one? They're from Tennessee. Belle Meade is one of my favorites too.
Belle Meade is really nice. Yeah.
Not so rare, obviously, but they have a cask strength, I think it's called, or cask aged, which I think is delicious. So it's weird because you can get Belle Meade in Minnesota next door, but you can't get Belle Meade here.
Yeah,
so,
right.
That quirky Wisconsin.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you?
I go in and out quite a bit with this, and because I'm a kid in a candy store, I can taste anything here. And I've been drinking Blanton's lately.
Yeah.
And part of that, I suppose, that we stocked up very heavily for the DNC, which is now going to be a shadow of itself. So
sounds like
not to say that I'm overstocked on this, but we've got ample amounts enough so that I can drink it from time to time.
Sure.
So
it is delicious.
In fact, we should have one here at some point, just because
I like the way you
it's
think.
that kind of a show. Just to make
do
sure
more.
all
Do more.
the flavors are working here. Yeah.
I like this show.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do it again. But so what I'm thinking is that we should talk about something else that you really enjoyed at Shakers for food that has worked well with the cigars. You've been at cigar dinners and things like that. So is there experience that stands out in your mind with something?
Well, your last dinner, the Father's Day dinner, was out of this world. Out of this world. I told you right after, I said, this may be my favorite one.
Would that be the brisket?
The brisket. The chicken fried steak was phenomenal. And the shrimp, I'm telling you, everybody thought the next course was better than the last. I mean, it was just phenomenal.
Unfortunately, I missed the last one, I guess, so I can't comment on that one. But I still remember one of the first ones that we came to as one of my favorites. It had the portobello mushroom with the blue cheese on it,
crusted on top.
It was like eating a steak. And then I think there was quail with that dinner also. was pretty good. I think that was that dinner.
I thought that was the next one. Did
next
we have
one?
ribeye with the one with the portobello mushroom?
Well, that could be. That could be.
I mean, that's what it was.
Yeah. But you're right. That was awesome.
Yeah. The mushroom stands out in my head. I don't know why.
Amazing. We try not to miss a dinner.
Thank you.
They are good. They are very good.
Well, we had a full house this last thing on last week Friday as well.
You did?
We
For
did.
the Cajun?
We did. Cajun.
Yeah.
And that was actually Paul's boar was part of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
a small part of Paul's boar because that's a lot of boar that Paul
Well, when you
got.
take a couple of them, whether you plan to or not, I guess.
Right.
Our next thing up is the Jamaican dinner. So I got some cool little things. I bought this from Cuba. I don't know if you saw them there, but it's a China box. It's about 4 feet by 2 feet by about 2 feet. And that's what they use for hundreds of years now, ever since the railroads came through, to roast meat.
Oh,
So it can smoke as well. And it's just got this great depth of flavor. It's slow and slow. And what separates this is that the heat source is on top. So it's not ambient. It's not on the bottom. Everything's on top. So you load this up. You got your fat cap on your brisket and everything else, like on the boar, on top. And it just, over the course of the next 8 or 10 hours, just melts through that. It is so incredibly succulent.
Wow.
Yeah. With
Sounds
a real nice
delicious.
bark on it as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to use that for the goat that we're doing, traditional Jamaican style. So it's going to be curried goat.
Okay.
And I've got this beautiful high-end spit that Dr. Matuziak had made.
Okay.
And I've got 30 birds. So we're doing half a chicken per person. So I've got 30 of these that'll be spinning around.
Wow.
It's all jerked. And a pepper pot soup. And then, of course, the jerk ice cream that probably will get back in the marketplace. So
There you go.
As well it should.
Yeah.
quick word about that. As restaurants are going through this, we're open, we're closed, we're open and closed kind of thing. And it's likely that the state of Wisconsin is going to shut down things again after the DNC. That's pretty much the objective of the country. That I'm probably going to relaunch my line of sauces that were at one point sold internationally because they're real easy to work with. So it's like a one-pan cooking kind of thing. Anybody can do this. You're stuck at home
Sure.
anyway. You're looking for something different. Well, I got that thing. So along with that, we're probably going to relaunch that ice cream, which is just exquisite because it's hot, it's spicy, it's
Delicious.
cool,
Yeah.
refreshing,
Yeah.
it's whatever.
Yeah.
So
Covers a gamut
I
of
think-
flavors there.
Didn't Paulie want a 5-gallon bucket of that?
It could be. It could be.
could be. Yeah.
So I have a question for you. What's
Yeah.
your favorite meal to make? What do you enjoy the most?
I really enjoy seafood, and part of that is because I like seafood, and part of that is because you don't often get seafood done right in the upper Midwest.
Sure.
And at least not ocean fish. Understandably, right? People don't have experience working with things. So I had the luxury of spending some time in the Caribbean where I was exposed to different fish and different seafood and the different cooking processes, and I brought it back up here.
Yeah.
In fact, when I opened Shakers in 1986, my intent was not to be cooking at all, but I couldn't find people to cook my menu. So then I got myself stuck in the kitchen again, something I said I would never do, and here we are, 3 decades later, and I'm still stuck in the kitchen. But we knocked out some shark today, so we did. I first showed people how to make a jam and jerk. That's going to be on an upcoming video, and then I showed them how to make a jerk shark with that. But you could jerk pork or
Sure.
jerk rather anything you want.
Yeah.
So
The shark was delicious.
thank you. Thank you.
Delicious.
Huh. Interesting.
So about this COVID thing, we'll spend just a moment on this because it's everywhere, right? It's pervasive. It's influencing everything that we do in life now.
I'll say this. It's difficult. I think all three of us have not had COVID or have experienced symptoms of COVID. It's very challenging. It's very difficult for those of us who haven't had it to understand or to do like the mask thing. And I don't wear masks. People can think what they want about that, I guess. I don't know, but I'm not sick. I don't feel sick. I don't have any symptoms. So it's very hard to it's frustrating when you want to sort of get on with life and do things that aren't available because things are shut down. Mm-hmm. So I find the whole thing very frustrating, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off of that. With my wife and I in our jobs, nothing changed. We still had to go to work every day, still had to do the same job. I get it; it's serious. I don't doubt its seriousness, it's just like Joel said, it's hard to grasp the severity of it when it doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't affect us, but we don't see it.
There's no immediate.
There's no
immediacy in your.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think part of it too is that you don't really know so much. Like, it's hard now with anything, not just COVID or any other, but even everything else that's going on now. It's like you don't even know if you're getting a real story about something, you know. And it's like it's hard to know where to go to get the real answers. And so it seems like there's just a lot of disinformation out there because people maybe either have an agenda or they just honestly believe something, and then that becomes a narrative and things are pushed along. And
I can't concur with you more, and I think that that's really what's taking place is that there's two sides to this. One is that the scientific community can't get a significant answer that they like and they can stay with, so they move around quite a bit. And we get updates on a regular basis from whether it's the NRA, the ARA, the CDC, the Ag Department, whomever is involved in this process, and often they contradict each other, and they're fresh that day.
Yeah.
Right.
And that shouldn't be. And then you have our political leaders, both locally and nationally, that seem to be kind of adrift and at odds with themselves anyway. Right. And then you've got this just other political...
Or have their own agenda that they're trying to push.
You got this other faction that, whether it's the right or left or somewhere else, it is very polarized politically. And I think that, frankly, we deserve better as a people than all this crap taking place. So we're making a change here because we've been open now for 3 weeks legally since the city opened up again. And we have a disproportionate number of people, as you always do, from Chicago marketplace for our tours that otherwise you don't see in Milwaukee, right?
Right.
So a lot of them have been asking about masks, and we get these emails and calls on a daily basis. Are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? So I published today that as of today, we are going to have our tour guides wearing a mask at all times. We limit it to 10 people on the tours. We still have multiple tours. We still do our thing. But I think that, the needs of the many over the wants of the few kind of concept is right there. So
totally understand.
And by the way, I do think that whether it's going to be for the DNC or before the DNC, the city will make a change and mandate everybody in every capacity at all times has to wear a mask. So I just want to get on the front side of that and try to alleviate some concerns, protect our staff, protect our clients as well.
Sure.
And not be the guy just doing something that because I don't want to get poked in the nose kind of thing. So I'm trying to find some kind of a equilibrium that we can all work with and be better for, I suppose.
Right. Well, it's nice you have the outside patio too. I mean, it's outdoors.
Yeah.
That and the rooftop.
Yeah.
But there's something else that we should talk about, kind of because of what you guys do, is that, and I've been following this now for 4 or 5 days, is that there is a trend taking place in the country where either the people that are the real zealot maskers or have whatever other agenda are calling and complaining to police departments or health departments saying, I was at this restaurant and I heard so-and-so behind the bar say that they tested positive for this and the place is still open. So at that point, the health departments of other cities is mandated to go in and shut the place down until everybody is tested and to do whatever, right? So it's kind of a blackmail extortion kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So at some point, people are going to have to capitulate and just say, well, we got this complaint, and until we can find out what's actually going on, we're going to shut down your operation. So you look at a very popular place that's 3 blocks away from us, and they're shut down for 2 weeks because
I saw that. Yeah,
right. They have a staff member who, I don't know if he tested positive, but somebody proximate to him tested positive.
Yeah,
which I don't think is the criteria, but you have to be on the side of caution if nothing else. But I guess what I'm getting at is that you don't have to be found to be the person who actually has whatever it is that's contagion or something else, but just merely if somebody has an agenda against you and you being open and doing business, they can shut that thing down and you're SOL until the process works itself through, which is really not the way that America's set up, right?
Right.
So,
well, I think that sort of gets to the whole, your general freedoms. It's like, it's kind of hard for some people, myself included, to sort of wrap my brain around, okay, the government is telling me I have to go everywhere with a mask on my face, you know what I mean? Like, that's sort of, and it's just when you're in a country as we are, where you are free to go where you want to and do the things that you want to do, and now you put restrictions on them and couple that with the fact that maybe the intentions aren't always so pure about doing it, you know, and so, or you suspect that maybe the intentions aren't so pure, it's hard to kind of follow along with that.
Well, it seems to me to be obvious that with the huge spike that's taken place in the last 2 weeks or so, and it correlates with the number of people that are out protesting, unabated, days, nights, no mask, no social distancing, and yet the media wants to blame bars and restaurants. It seems like a bit of a stretch to me.
It's crazy to me.
And what's going to happen when the schools open up again if they allow kids to come back? Because now you've got kids are petri dishes anyway, right?
Yeah.
And now you've got all this other crap from everywhere in every family and every contact, and then you've just got this mass issue taking place. So you know, we have to kind of get a grip on ourselves at some point, and really get a handle and figure out what needs to be done, because who can live this way? To me, it's as important to have the ability to go out and to socialize, interact with people, because we're social creatures.
Right.
And, you know, have a fine cigar is a cool concept. So you got a mask on, you can't smoke a damn cigar, right?
You pull your mask down and take a drag of your cigar.
So when the Wisconsin Restaurant Association first put together the criteria maybe 2 or 3 months ago, they said all clients and, of course, all staff have to have a mask at all times. So I called them up and say, how do they eat? When we reopen, how then do they eat? Crickets, you know.
No answer.
We'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So that's fine. But, you know, city is supposed to have eliminated straws, too. City of Milwaukee
Yeah.
has banned straws. But you need a straw because you're not supposed to drink out of a glass, right? So what do you do then? And especially now if you have to have a mask on, you can drink out of a straw, but you can't just drink without a straw.
Right.
But you certainly can't do this.
Right.
Right.
And I don't know how the COVID virus is supposed to be able to stop at I'm not making fun of this, but as if it can stop at the city limits, because it could not be in West Allis, Wauwatosa, Shorewood, or the other 27 different cities around us.
Yeah.
But it knows enough to stop and not go to Milwaukee or vice versa. Or it's okay to be in Home Depot with 400 other people, but you can't sit in a bar with 50 people.
Well, I said the same thing. I found it bizarre. So I can go to the grocery store without a mask. I can be around exposed fruits and vegetables and so forth like that are sitting out there. I don't need a mask on to go buy food, but I need a mask to go to Menards to go buy like a 2x4.
Yeah,
or,
I mean, there's just
whatever.
I don't think anyone knows. So everybody's throwing spaghetti at the wall right now, and
Yeah, that's probably part of it too.
That's a good analogy. I like that. Spaghetti at the wall.
I don't know.
It sticks it's done, right?
right.
It's frustrating. I don't know what the answer is there, I guess. And I think you're right. At some point, people just have to come to some sort of conclusion as to what we're going to do about this. And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
I would bet you dollars to donuts that after this last 4th of July weekend, you wait for another week, because the incubation period is either
14
48
days,
hours, 72 hours, 14
couple of
days.
days.
Who knows what it actually is, but
Yeah.
within a week or week and a half, I'm going to bet there's going to be a gazillion more cases, not just because we're testing more people, but a gazillion more cases, right? And I expect that. And
Yeah.
yet it's going to be like this big, it's a news event.
Yeah,
So-
and it will be.
Well, and part of that might be from increased testing too.
I think that's most of it. What they won't,
Yeah,
what they
I mean,
won't
but I mean, like-
show, like they showed today, is deaths are down 40%.
Yeah.
Mortality rate is down.
40% is what they said. 39.
The antibody test itself has issues, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, you
that's
read
what I've
about
heard.
every day there's some quirk about something
Yeah.
going on.
It's not
So
very reliable. Yeah.
And again, that I think is the biggest problem that people have, is that we are willing to listen to all the science if the science kind of gets to the same page,
Right.
and does something, and we're really akimbo.
No, because it's all over. The science is all over right now.
But again, both sides
Yeah, absolutely. Both
politically
sides. You bet.
are in my mind kind of fucked up on this.
Yeah.
Hey, Brianna, I'm sorry, can we have 3 Blanton doubles, please?
Oh wow.
Thank you, dear.
Oh, we're celebrating tonight.
It's a beautiful day.
It
We're
is
live.
a beautiful day. We're here. We're here for sure.
So if you had a choice, aside from going back to Cuba, where would you want to go for your next cigar exposition?
Well, so I'll say the trip in Honduras was for the Rocky Patel factory, and that was actually quite good. I mean, very good, very in depth. They take you through the entire factory. You go out to a field. You go out to a box making factory. Really see the whole process from start to finish. I don't know of any other research. I guess I don't know of any other company that does something quite that in depth. And it's all included. You stay at a house that's owned by the company, and they make the food for you, and there's beer and rum and sodas that are water and all included.
Thank you, Bree.
And
thank you, Bob.
I think that if I had talking about Cuba, I guess. Thank you. If I go back, or when I go back, I'd like to get out of Havana some and go see fields and some of the more of the island.
We talked about that. It'd be nice to see the whole process from start to finish.
Yeah.
So in September, of course, everything changes on a daily basis, but in September this year, we can go back to Cuba. Or Cuba opens up. And of course, Americans can't go anywhere. But we can go back in September. But what they announced is that people go to the 5 outer islands. They don't want you on the main portion of Cuba itself.
Oh.
Which is interesting. And I'm sure it'd be a marvelous time. You won't get the cigar plantation portion of that. You won't get the Havana nightlife and other accoutrements that you see in Havana. But I think that'd be a real idyllic kind of a romantic thing for you and your wife.
That would be fun.
There you go.
Probably not so much for me, but...
That'd be great. It's beautiful down there. I mean, the beaches, we weren't so much into the beaches as the girls were, but because we've seen beaches before, we wanted to do more of the cigar thing.
Yeah.
They said the beaches were absolutely gorgeous. I mean, just gorgeous.
I just wanted to kind of just all around Havana.
I wanted to see Havana.
Yeah, I wanted to see
it's got a lot of history, and it was...
yeah, because you can always take your own stand on the beach, but sometimes it's better not to.
Well, and I think it was interesting. I think it was for us when we went in November of last year. It was an interesting time to go with the 450th anniversary,
500th
or 500th
right?
anniversary,
500-year anniversary.
And they Havana Marathon and all these other things were going on, and so never having been there before, I don't know if it always has that kind of energy, but there definitely was sort of a buzz about the city when we were there.
The streets were clean. I mean, they cleaned up the Havana well.
Yeah,
King of Spain was coming.
Yeah, a bunch of other dignitaries were coming.
Yeah, so it was a neat time. They were repainting like the Capitol building, which I think was built by the U.S. or designed after a U.S. building, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I thought they said something about that.
It had a significant impact upon them, as did Spain. But going back to Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders, 1902, I think, but a little before my time. We were literally lockstep with them in so many ways for so many years. And of course, once Che and Fidel got moving, things were different. But a little thing like a Bay of Pigs.
I'll say this though: what surprised me was, and maybe ignorance plays part. We didn't come across anybody that was like rude, unhappy.
No. Not at all.
I mean, everybody was pleasant.
Never felt unsafe.
Never felt unsafe.
I mean, walking down these streets of old Havana, we never once felt unsafe.
But you kind of wonder, coming from capitalist America, where you can kind of set your own destiny a little bit. Like, I don't know. For me, I looked at them and it's sort of like I felt. I don't want to say sorry. That's not the right term, but nothing gets to them. They don't get the wealth of the country because
it's a very simple life.
They don't have that. So
yeah, they're very limited.
They have Wi-Fi. They have television to some degree, not what we have, but they're very much aware, in my mind at least, of the Western world and want that. But they also realize that merely thinking I want it isn't going to make it happen.
Right.
Which is different.
Yeah.
And another thing I noticed about Cuba is that everything is equal, something just more equal, just like Russia used to be. I mean, it's the same kind of concept, right?
Right.
Probably everywhere in the world, frankly. But I think that the people have a genuine warmth and spirit about them, which probably goes back to Spain, because from my perspective, Cuba's not like anything else in the Caribbean. They are really like part of Europe that just happens to be this real sunny, cool little thing. Abject poverty, though, is almost like the slums of Kingston in some places, which is terrible.
Yeah.
And then half a block later, you've got these beautiful restored mansions as well.
Yeah.
And the rest maybe is kind of like New Orleans, and yet if you spend enough time there in the wrong places, there is this, I don't want to say aroma, that's the wrong word. There's a stench that comes up that is just, the really bad part, and you served in battle, there's just a part of that you experience in those conditions that is just there. And, but overall, I think, you've got to look at a marvelous thing. So I get customers say, is there a Ritz there? No, this is not the place for you. That is not that experience.
No.
Right.
So...
I agree with you. I think the younger generation has a little more access and more understanding of what the outside world, outside of Cuba, outside the island, is experiencing. I don't, how much that is controlled. You don't really know. I guess not being immersed in it all the time, but I think of it was just kind of bizarre. So we hired a tour guide for a day, and I forget her name now, Judith.
Yeah, Judith. Yeah, that's right.
Who actually had gone to school to be a lawyer. She trained in, or went to school in Havana, I think, for law school.
Makes much more as a guide, I'm sure.
That's exactly what she said. That's exactly why she quit. So but this thing that stuck with me talking to her, and we were driving around with her in the morning, was, remember she was in school, had the ability to, there was some sort of like
a scholarship.
Well, it was like I don't know if it was an exchange
or something.
I don't know if it was an exchange program kind of thing, or whatever. But she was able to go. She could have been able to go to Mexico for some sort of schooling, like an exchange program kind of thing or whatever. I don't think it was very long though. I think it was a shorter time.
Yeah.
Anyway,
months, yeah.
The Cuban government denied her, and the thing that struck me was that she was just kind of like, oh well, yeah, they said no.
She expected them to say no,
yeah,
and they did.
And that's such a foreign concept to us. It's like, what do you mean?
It was bizarre.
What do you mean I can't go to another country to do something?
To better myself.
And she said the same thing. She went to law school, did it for like a year or two, and then wasn't making any money. Realized she could make far more money doing the tours, and so that which is just that's backwards from our country.
Yeah.
So
bizarre. And the lady that we rented our Casa Particular from, remember, she said she can go on vacations to Haiti.
Yeah. In fact, she went there like twice a year to go
That's
get
about the only place they allow
So they
them
can
to go.
guarantee you'll come back from
Exactly.
Haiti.
And that's what she said.
It sounded like she could go there to get things she couldn't get in Cuba.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And they were cheap there.
She went like 2 times a year to Haiti.
To Haiti, that's
Beautiful
it.
Haiti.
Because that's all they would allow her to go to.
Change of view.
Yeah.
So having these cigars and having the opportunity to be there on that 3rd floor that you were in Havana, smoking these cigars, drinking this rum, what's the best part of that cigar that you had? We typically think about 3 parts of cigars. You fire this thing up, the midpoint, and then the finish on this. So,
boy, it's hard. We smoke so many up there, and they're all different in their own way. But yeah, you're right. At some point, you hit that power band in that thing where you're like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. I seem to remember it usually about halfway when you get there. It's that flavor that you're looking for. And I'm not good with words with wood or suede or floral, leather. I'm not good like that. But it always seemed to me right when you got to about the middle, they burn slow, they burn cool, and it hits you at one point. And you're like, this is what I've been waiting for.
you just know, don't you?
Yeah.
I remember there was one day, it was during the middle of the day, we were sitting on the roof of the house there, and it was a Cohiba. I don't remember which one it was now. It was probably like the 5-pack that we had bought, I think. And the whole thing was just, from start to finish, was delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't one bad. The whole thing was just an experience. It wasn't like it was, all right, this is getting kind of warmed up. It's like, no, this thing, right from the get-go, the moment you fired it up, to the time you put it down, which you didn't want to do, it tasted phenomenal.
It just occurred to me that of all the years I've been smoking cigars, and I love Cohibas when they're right, but the difference is that the Cohibas that you get in Cuba are always extraordinary.
Yeah.
Now, I've had cigars that I've been given by embassies and you know, those people that have the right connections and hookups and the right things. And there's always one that's just kind of a clinker in there, and I think maybe it is that they just don't travel well. Maybe they just, you know, they don't ship well.
I would
maybe,
agree with you.
Like some wines don't carry well as well.
Yeah.
So I'll say this about I was just talking to somebody the other day about this with the Rocky Patel tour in Honduras. The cigars were included with the tour, and there were certain types of cigars that I smoked down there and I liked. And then I bought them up here when I got back, knowing I liked them down there, and they didn't taste the same.
Yeah.
They did not taste the same.
The Cohiba, like you mentioned, when we smoked them down there wasn't a better cigar in the whole world to me. And he brought a couple back, and it was still really good, don't get me wrong, but you didn't get the same. And I didn't know if it was the experience being down there, or the rum coupled with it, or whatever. But when you lit up a Cohiba down there was not a better cigar in the entire world.
Yeah.
I mean, it was...
I've noticed that too.
Crazy.
You know, like those bespoke types that we bought there, they kind of didn't maybe travel well either.
They didn't travel well.
Might have been fine, but so we found a a cigar shop, sort of by accident,
Yeah,
actually.
connected to a hotel, kind of off the beaten path.
And I forget the name of it. I've actually, since we got back, I looked it up in Cigar Aficionado. That's actually one of the top 10.
Hotel Nacional, or
I think it was. It was a hotel something.
It was, yeah, but I don't remember the name off the top
I
of my
remember
head.
you had to go in, you had to go up some stairs, you had to duck
There
down.
was a courtyard in the middle, and like you had to. So
big, beautiful old world kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it was old. Yeah.
There's the hotel, they say it only has like 10 rooms. It's a small hotel.
Okay.
It's not a big place, and it's in old Havana, and it's toward like the water, toward the port.
Okay.
But remember, we were walking around on Sunday, and the shop that we were going to go into the other day the day before with the tour guide, she goes, "No, I'm going to take you to this other one." Mm-hmm. Well, we tried to go back to find that one, and it was closed on a Sunday, and so we stopped at a different one, and we tried asking the lady that was in there about the one we were trying to find. She goes, "No, but there's the one like 2 blocks up from here. It was in this hotel," and you had to go. You walked, from the street, and then you walked into a courtyard, and then you had to take a right and up the stairs, and you're upstairs, and you would never know
By the brothel.
well, maybe,
brothel,
maybe, but I mean, you'd never know it was there if you didn't look for it or know it was there already.
Yeah, sure.
And it was phenomenal. I mean, there was well, I don't know. I'll tell the story, I guess, unless you want to. We walk in there, and one half is a bar, and they had a standing humidor that had like 6 drawers in it or something like that. And the worker, one of the workers there, was wearing a path in the floor to go to this humidor.
He kept coming and grabbing more cigars out of it.
Aaron and I, being the astute observers that we are, were like, "What's going on there?" And
He spoke broken English, the bartender.
English. And that was their house blends. And so he pulled out the drawers. He was showing us they had cigars of, Bob, any size, shape you could imagine.
15 different sizes.
I mean,
from $3 to $12.
And of any ring gauge you could imagine. And he's like, these are our house blends. And I mean, they were clearly, the people that were coming in there knew what they had, because they were, we had a coffee at the bar, and in probably a 20-minute to a half-hour time, he probably walked 4 or 5 times to that humidor.
Easily. Grabbing 7 or 8 out each time.
So, we were like, "What's going on there? Let's see some of these." So he pulls out the drawers and he's showing us, and we found, I'm sort of a Robusto size. Generally, that's kind of what I gravitate towards.
Well, we bought one there. Remember to smoke at the bar?
We bought one. I think we smoked it later that night, though. I don't think we smoked it there.
I thought we had one.
Maybe we did. I don't
there.
remember now.
Yeah.
But phenomenal, delicious. Just I don't even know the words to describe it. It was delicious.
There was a reason everybody was asking for those cigars.
Yeah. So we went back and bought the next day. We actually patronized them for a couple of boxes worth.
Yeah.
Because they were very good to us when we were there. But same deal. And the ones that I bought 10 or 12 of them. I brought back. Aaron brought some back also, and you said that some of them didn't burn real well or whatever.
When they got back. No, I had 2 that had to be tossed. But
maybe you're onto something. Maybe the travel part of it.
I think that was it.
I do know as a cook that there are differences in the atmospheric pressure in different places. Things cook differently. And I would say that even here, where we're relatively stable, but some days there's kind of a shift, and it doesn't take much to really skew what you're cooking. Because, we did that today on the shark, as a matter of fact. That same time frame that it would have been perfectly done, for my mind, and now suddenly I pull it off, and, we're doing the video for that, and it's like not quite what I wanted it to be.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So off camera, I got it back on for a moment. Now we got the right thing.
Yeah.
But, it's there for the right amount of time. It's the right heat. It's the right everything. But maybe because it's the humidity is higher today. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know what the barometric pressure is. But those fluctuations, so maybe that really impacts this, because these are natural products.
Yeah.
And people often forget about that, right?
Right. One thing that locked us in about that place, too, is when we walked in there were a couple of old guys sitting in there smoking those house blend cigars with a cup of coffee. If you ever want to know where to find the good stuff,
you find the locals.
You find the locals.
Yeah.
And they were right on the money with those cigars.
Well, there might be a few exceptions. I tell a story about on my honeymoon 1,000 years ago. We're in San Francisco, and we're in Chinatown, and we find the place where because I'm observing who gets the most Chinese that's going into the place.
Sure.
That's the place we want, right? Looks really nice on the outside. The menus are posted. They're in Chinese, but whatever, I'll figure it out, right? Get inside, and my ex-wife is in the loo, right? I'm at the table, and she comes in, she's ashen-faced, like this, candle. I'm like, what's wrong? And she says, this place is so authentic. We're squatting on the floor. All right, well, we're out of here. So sometimes.
That's true. That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
I think cigars and cigar shops maybe a little different.
Maybe a little.
Situation.
Here's something I want to talk about is that lighters, and I've amassed a lot of lighters over the years. This is one from a mutual friend Mike, right?
Jetline or whatever that
right,
is.
and just Bugatti.
Oh, Bugatti, yeah, Bugattis.
So just last week, the top broke off, kind of a thing, and I rotate them all the time, so I'm not just using one, right? And then it's got this other thing that sometimes it lights and it just flares, doesn't go off, and it's whatever. And even when I had my cigar at my retail store, we'd be sending things back all the time. They look real sexy, and the Japanese ones in particular, I'm not going to mention names here, but you know what I'm talking about, starts with a C. And we're sending things back and back and back. It's like, I'm not going to handle these anymore because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you'd have to wonder at some point with the huge number of people that now smoke cigars, since cigar aficionado, why someone just can't get these things right.
Right, I know.
So
They do seem to break with some regularity.
they do.
Somebody that did get it right was St. DuPont. If you want to pay
well, if you wanna
$300,
pay-
And,
Yeah,
$3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to work. I agree.
yeah, they
So you actually
worked
jogged my
every
memory
time.
about something. Speaking of that, when you were in Cuba and you were going to these stores to buy cigars,
Oh,
or you,
yeah, I know what you're
did
gonna
you?
You
Were
couldn't
you,
light it.
were you at all put off or thought it was odd that in Cuba you had to light it with your delicious, beautiful, Cohiba or Monte Cristo or Partagas or whatever you bought with a Bic lighter?
They didn't have lighters or even matches to give
Well, they
out.
had those little tiny ones,
itty
remember
bitty
those?
matches.
Which actually worked pretty well. for the
some
most
places
part.
didn't even have those.
Yeah.
I try to go with the flow no matter where I am because I don't want to be the American kind of guy.
Yeah.
I want to kind of fit in. But yeah, I was put off every time. I still am. I'm like, okay, well, that's just it is what it is, right?
I guess
it was
for this
weird.
country that's just known for cigars, I was surprised. It didn't really bother me that much, I suppose, but
No.
it kind of surprised me. Like
You think
I'm like
about-
this with a Bic lighter.
You think about these guys like the 4-inch natural matches, right? Okay. And, to my mind, that's all affectation. Or the guys that take the cedar and you break it off. I got to
Yeah.
light this first.
Yeah.
Come on.
Maybe that's
Honest to God.
maybe that's why. Maybe it's because they have no good way to light anything over there. They use the cedar wrappings to light their. It seemed odd to me.
It could be.
Maybe I'm a snobby
Well, we
American.
didn't
I
want to
don't
bring any lighters with us because they'd get confiscated.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we went there with we kind of expected it not to be an issue. It became an issue at certain points. We couldn't light our cigars.
Yeah, well, the last time I took down Shaker's matches, wooden matches, and I left a bunch behind, but
Oh,
I never
good.
had an issue with that. So
Yeah.
I do believe Aaron was repping one of your Shaker shirts
thank
out
you-
on the
thank
streets
you
of
very
Nevada.
much.
For an
Thank you.
entire day.
Yeah.
have to create a new series of those then, just for that. By the way, we have this blend, so we should be tasting this,
Oh, we
gentlemen.
should
So
try this.
cheers. And,
Cheers. I've actually been tasting mine for a while, just so you
Only
know.
a special
well,
occasion.
why not?
I couldn't wait for you guys.
Can't have it evaporate.
Oh, that is delicious.
Delicious, yeah.
Buttery.
Oh, delicious.
So how many times have you been to Cuba, Bob?
Oh, I don't know. More than once.
And you're going again in September, or are you going to wait
No.
till...
Well, who knows? I mean, the world is so
Use your cutter tool?
fluid.
Yeah.
Not all those times were legal, by the way.
Well, I'm not here to incriminate you.
And how about a lighter?
Yeah, I got that too. Or Bob's got one, whichever. I agree with you. I was thinking about this. Why don't I give you my lighter? Holy cow, that's a torch.
Yeah, it is.
That is a torch. With everything going on in the world today, I think that more people need to sit down and just chat with a cigar in their hand. That's
Relax.
kind of
Never see anybody arguing or bickering while you're in here. I mean, it's literally, it doesn't, that's the beauty of cigars, though. They don't care what color you are, what religion you are. It doesn't matter. You've got one thing in common, and that's smoking cigars, and that's what you want to talk about.
Yep.
That's the beauty of this place. I mean, it's just, it doesn't matter. Everything is left at the door. We are now all cigar smokers.
And you can, for the most part, Shakers is a very agreeable place for sitting around at a table and having a good discussion. People can hear each other, and there's
we pride ourselves on the phenomenal staff that we've had for 30 some odd years, and really I think the world of my staff, and I think that is why we're still here.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's not the same staff for 30 years, but because we have a standard, something that we're looking for, the process that we go through with them, but they really seem to like people.
Yeah.
They like our clients, and customer service is the important thing that we do here. And of all the myriad nonsense that we do here, whether it's the ghost tours, honestly, right? The ghost tours, the store tours, the food, the cigars, the wine, the bourbons, whatever else, we've got a lot on the table that they have to be responsible to know, and yet they rise to it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm sure you must have a certain amount of pride that, I mean, the bar and restaurant industry is hardly an easy one to have longevity in. So
Well,
I'm
you're
sure,
right. Who else can say they've been in business for 35 years?
Yeah, or
you know,
however long, right? So
been about next year it'll be 35.
yeah,
right?
35. We're almost there. This year can't get over fast enough.
No
right?
kidding.
so
No kidding.
2020 can go by quickly, but
Ay, ay, ay.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
it's a hell of a place you've got, Bob. Very,
Well,
very
thanks, Joe. Thank you very much.
It's our second home.
Cuba, since I guess we're really revolving around that today, is that I've long said to you that we should find a way to go down there, because you guys hunt. You are major hunters, and you go on specific hunts a couple times a year, right? Above and beyond just the deer and the elk and something else, you're going after wild boar. And it wouldn't it be cool if we could set something up with the Cuban government, probably not firearms, but you've already done a spear anyway, but maybe bows,
Bow
maybe
or something.
Sure.
or rudimentary firearms, not high-powered rifles, but something enough to take down a boar. But they don't have boars. They've got these little. They're smaller.
Javelina?
Maybe they're everywhere. So
Okay.
maybe 30 to 50 pounds, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Tusk, but nothing
I
like.
think
what
they're
you guys take.
javelinas, aren't they?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
But that'll be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So that, or else like bone fishing.
Oh,
or
that would be-
fly
yeah.
fishing, bone fishing. That's
There you go.
That's
Yes.
a treat.
And that kind of gets to what I was saying. I'd like to experience Cuba outside of Havana a little bit to see what the rest of the island is like.
And me, I like to get to the rainforest. I really enjoy rainforests and jungles, and I'd like to go there as well.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I feel like we scratched we've been there once, Aaron and I feel like we just scratched the surface of what you could really get into there if you have a little bit of gumption and
We might have a cool thing coming up because we have our videographer, Patrick, is good friends with Raul, who's a longtime producer for PBS and is Cuban, actually.
Oh.
He is Cuban. His family's from Cuba. He's been to Cuba
I think we've met
countless times.
Raul, actually, right?
You may
I
have.
think
Years
so.
ago at a
Yeah,
dinner.
At a dinner.
You may have.
Yeah.
But he is incredibly connected with the intelligentsia side of things, if you will.
Oh.
And I think in September we might have a play to go down there as a group to do some humanitarian thing or something.
Oh, we should do that. I mean, as long as it's not September 12th.
Well, obviously you've got a spawn that's getting hooked up, so
That's right.
congratulations to you, by the way.
Thank you.
You should set up a Shakers trip.
Well, I tried to set something up with the city of Milwaukee as a sister city, but Milwaukee wasn't necessarily keen to that at the time, right? So
Really, there weren't enough communists in our city.
shocking.
Right.
Anyway, well, I'm working some angles to see if we can have a play for something, but that would be a blast because then I want to see if we can culturally go do something else above and beyond the norm, and I think that would just be
Yeah.
the
Oh,
cat's
absolutely.
ass.
I'm in.
So
Yeah, I'm in.
cool.
I like it. Yeah.
Anywhere we should finish up? Anything you guys want to talk about? Cigars or booze or something here?
Oh boy.
No, we covered mojitos. We covered rum.
I think we
now have bourbons.
we'll have to do this again sometime, Bob. I
Yeah.
think, and talk cigars.
chat.
Thanks for coming in, and we'll expand this thing, and obviously this is going to be on the iHeartRadio network as well. So I'm thrilled you guys are here, and I'm glad that you're for the first cigar thing that we're talking about. And
Yeah.
Thank you
for
for
having us.
having
and there
us.
we are.
Thank you.
Gentlemen,
Thank you.
cheers, and
Cheers.
looking forward to the next one.
Drink to that.